Go ahead, Andrew.
Hey, Coach, are you pleased with the shots that Caleb and RJ are taking? That they're so far through 7 games, they've taken more than 50% of your shots.
Some of the shots I'm 100% comfortable with. Other shots I'm not. And we've talked about
it. Can you elaborate on that? What the conversations have been like, especially with Caleb in particular, when maybe he can get some of those shots a little bit later in possessions?
Well, just getting the shot, not only that one person wants, getting a shot that everybody agrees upon, everybody wants, and just understanding the difference between a good shot and a bad shot. And that's a discussion not only have I had with RJ and Caleb, but I've had with the entire team. I count bad shots as turnovers, and just the importance of consistently taking high percentage shots that you practice before and after practice, and shots consistently that you shoot in the game. And so I also know that, some of the shot selections are because they want to make something happen. And, and sometimes in those situations, the best thing is to create and to wait for a better shot. And that's something that I've had discussions with everybody, and specifically Caleb and RJ.
Thank you.
Jim Coyle, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, thank you for taking the time to do this. With Indiana, they are looked at as a team that is very, very deep. And looking at North Carolina, you guys use a lot of minutes in with your starters. How do you see Indiana as someone that you have to take on from a team that is using 8, 9, 10 guys in a game versus your rotation, which has been a lot smaller? And then follow it up with, have you talked to Coach Williams about the environment that you're going to be coming in to at Assembly Hall? Because the last time he was here, he made a big deal about that environment of what it was like to play in Assembly Hall.
Well, first of all, DeMarco, Puff, and Seth have consistently got minutes off the bench. And so I've consistently played, 8 to 9 guys the entire season. So I don't understand that question. But in terms of the environment, I played in college. I played in the NBA. A game is a game. And so whether it's at Indiana or at home, this is North Carolina. We went to the Final Four last year. There was 80,000 in the Superdome. So I know they're excited about having an opportunity to compete against a really, really good Indiana team, and looking forward to the challenge.
Ross Martin.
Hey, Coach, just wanted to get an injury update on Armando or Leaky or any other players that are, hobbled or whatever. If you got anything for us, that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, everybody practiced today. We didn't go long, but everyone practiced today.
So you expect Armando to play tomorrow?
As of right now, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
CL Brown?
He practiced today.
Sorry about that, Coach. CL Brown, go ahead.
Hi, Hubert. I was just curious if if you and Mike Woodson, if your basketball paths had crossed. I know obviously he had finished playing by the time you got to the NBA, but with him being a longtime assistant in that league, I was wondering if you guys ever kind of spent any real time together.
Yeah, he was. Not a lot of time. He was one of Coach Larry Brown's assistants with the Detroit Pistons. And so I spent a half a year with him. That was the last year that I was in the NBA. Midway through the season, I was waived and picked up by the New Jersey Nets. So I can't remember specifically how many games, but it was much like the halfway point. So I spent a half year. Coach Woodson, one one of my coaches with the Detroit Pistons.
And being that you guys just came from neutral site games in Portland, and now you're going to have 2 road games with this one at Virginia Tech on Sunday. Is there any difference to you in between how you prepare playing a road game as opposed to, what just came out of Portland? Like, is there, because I feel like it's going to be a more intense environment, in Bloomington and in Blacksburg than necessarily how it was in Portland. And I was just wondering if there are any kind of nuances to that, preparing for that.
Well, I do agree with you, CL. Like, the atmosphere will be different at Indiana compared to the atmosphere in both venues that we played at in Portland. But, as a player and as a coach, that's just not really anything that you're ever really concerned about. I don't remember, CL, for me as a player, the crowd ever having any effect on my play. As a coach, I've never felt like a crowd had an effect in terms of my ability to coach. And so our guys have played in big time atmospheres, and it will be one tomorrow night, but our guys have been there before. Most of our guys, as I said in another earlier question, they played in front of, 80,000 last year in the championship game in the Final Four. We've played at Duke, and we've played at a number of places. So I don't think the crowd would, I'm just going on my own personal experience, has anything to do on how we play or, and how we prepare.
Riley Davis, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, I know guys like Armando and Leaky, they've often spoke about how last year, coming off of the Wake Forest and Miami loss, and your attitude of positivity, getting them through that, letting them know it's just 2 bad games, was sort of a turning point in the season. And just kind of coming off the 2 losses in Portland, what's your message been to them going into this game?
My message to them has been real, has been truth. I don't look at it. I've said this before, like, I'm not a really big comparison type of, person. I don't compare this year to last year, or this person to this person, or loss to last year's loss. The games against Iowa State and against Alabama, the energy and the effort. I thought our guys played really hard, and in both games, multiple chances to win. And we didn't make the play on either end to be able to finish the game out. And those are things that we talked about. But we're a good basketball team, and we played really well out there. We just didn't finish it out. And so there is, obviously you're disappointed in losing those 2 games, but there's a lot to be positive about. Against Iowa State, we're up by 7 with 3 minutes to go. Against Alabama, we had a number of chances to win the game with the ball in our hands, and it just didn't work out. And so we just have to continue to tighten the screws on the discipline and the details on both ends of the floor, and put ourselves, and all you want is to be able to put yourself in a position to be successful. We were in those last 2 games. We just didn't win them.
Adam Smith, go ahead.
Hey, Hubert. Just wanted to ask you, with you guys being away from Chapel Hill for so long, out in Portland and now in Bloomington, like, have you tried to do anything different, like away from practice, away from the arena, that you wouldn't normally do on a road trip, just with your guys, and, just, I don't know, to break up the monotony, or just like, have you approached it any differently?
Well, I would love to do that. There just isn't any time to do that. We out to Portland, and the next day we had we had split practices at 2 venues starting at 9 o'clock in the morning. And then we had the banquet out in Portland later that day. We got to tour the Nike facility or campus. And then the next 2 days, we played at 10 o'clock in the morning on Thursday on Thanksgiving Day. And then we played the next day. And then we had a day off, and then we went into 4 overtimes on Sunday, and then we flew here yesterday. I think the thing that we're trying to do is trying to make sure we're in the right time zone. and so there really hasn't been a lot of time to do anything other than prepare to play for the games, and also for our guys to stay caught up academically. This time away, we're missing a week and a half, 2 weeks of school. And so our guys have been keeping up academically as well. So when we're not practicing or we're not playing, they're studying, they're doing projects and papers, and to make sure that from an academic standpoint, they're doing everything that they need.
Mike Schumann, go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, I know Xavier Johnson is a guy that you have prepared for in the past when he was at Pitt and also coached again. So I'm curious, when you watch him on film now, are there any ways that he looks different to you than how he looked in the past?
Well, he's always been really, extremely talented. He's one of the fastest guys I've ever seen with the ball. His ability to push and penetrate, attack the basket with speed and with pace and power is it's going to be difficult for us tomorrow. And he's always been really competitive, which I love. And he's really improved his outside shot. I think this year so far, he's 8 of 12 from 3-point range. And earlier in his career, that was something that was probably a weakness of his. And you could just tell the hard work that he's put together, that now it isn't a weakness, it's a strength. And so he gets after it defensively too. He was a really good, I was always worried about him when we played him against Pitt. And I'm just as concerned in terms of how to guard and how to contain him now that he's at Indiana.
Josh Graham.
Hey, Coach, I read somewhere, or I'm looking at it right now, that you guys are in the 200s when it comes to assists per game currently. What are some of the problems you've seen in that area, and some of the problems that have led to stagnation or lack of ball movement?
Yeah, that's something that, obviously that, Carolina basketball, we pride ourselves on is, good to great. And, in terms of passing the basketball and being able to just distribute and create shots for others. It has been, so far, it's been difficult. It's been difficult. I think teams have, compared to last year, they've trapped us more in terms of coming off ball screens and really put an emphasis on keeping our guards out of the paint. And so we got to do a better job of moving the basketball and getting into the lane and drawing defenders and hitting the open guy and having more ball movement with a combination of player movement in our half court sets. And so that's something that we have talked about at a lot in terms of moving the basketball more. And, that's an area, you're right, that's an area that we desperately need to improve.
Thank you, Coach.
Tyler Tackman.
Hey, Coach, hope you're doing well. But you were mentioning Xavier Johnson, but I guess beyond him in preparing for North Carolina or for Indiana and just watching film, what are some of the challenges you see them presenting? I guess what has just kind of stood out to you in evaluating them up, leading up to the game?
Well, they're a team that really prides itself on, dominating points in the paint. And so, whether through post or penetration or offensive rebounds, this is a team that this year has really lived offensively, scoring in the paint. So that's something that, we have to not only defend, but take away. And so that's important for us. They're really good in transition, the way that all 5 guys run in transition. And so it's going to be important for us to take care of the basketball, because if you turn the ball over, most times it's a pick 6 for them and their ability to score, whether it's a layup or a dunk or a wide open 3. And so defensively, they pressure you and they get after you a lot defensively, but they're just a really good basketball team. Their ability and versatility on the offensive end, and then their length and athleticism on the defensive end always will cause any team problems. And I think also there's a hunger and thirst about them that they, about this group that drives them and motivates them to be the best that they can be this year. And so they're just a really good basketball team, extremely well coached.
All right, we've got time for 2 more, Art Chansky and then Todd Golden to wrap us up. Go ahead, Art.
Hey, Coach. Just pivoting a little bit. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Art.
Coach Smith, we all know about Coach Smith's relationship with Bob Knight, and Roy has always talked about, I think, him being one of the 3 mentors, his 3 mentors. Do you have any relationship with Bob from your days at ESPN or through other basketball, or if not, your assessment of him and what he meant to college basketball and specifically IU?
Well, I mean, he's one of the greatest coaches in any sport of all time. Growing up, obviously, I wanted to go to Carolina. My second choice was I wanted to go to Indiana. I just wanted to be coached by Coach Knight. I just love the way that, he coached, the way he taught players, I love the way that he cared about his players, and I love the way that he approached the game. So I've always felt that way about him, even growing up playing basketball, and I still feel that same way even more today. I don't have a huge relationship with, other than we worked together for a couple of years on ESPN on game day, and I loved working with him. I loved spending that time with him and talking basketball and talking life. He taught me a new way to tie a tie, and I actually tied a tie the way that he taught me. And so I just really enjoyed those couple of years that I was able to spend some time with him with ESPN. And, when you think about Indiana basketball, no disrespect to anybody, the first person I think about is Coach Knight.
All right, Todd, last one.
It's the end of the road for the Big Ten ACC Challenge. From North Carolina's perspective, what has this challenge meant over the years? And also, how excited are you about the new challenge that the ACC has with the SEC coming?
Well, it's been a lot of fun, competing in this Big Ten ACC Challenge. As a player, I participated in the Big East ACC Challenge, and that was always a lot of fun, playing against, Georgetown and Seton Hall and UConn. And so having these big time matchups early in the season, and the cool thing about it is it's not a neutral site. You get to play on other people's home courts, and it's just a great experience. And the experience that I had as an assistant coach and that head coach playing in these type of games are stuff that I will remember for the rest of my life. And I really am sad that it's ending. And so, but I know that, the ACC SEC challenge it's going to be awesome as well. But I love these type of matchups, and our players love too. And they're sad that the Big Ten ACC challenge is stopping, but they're also excited about starting something new with the SEC.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Coach.
everybody.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Sure.